Hi, this is Terry Brock with terrybrock.com. You know, overcoming adversity is really important. Whatever we do, we're going to run into some challenges in life. And being able to overcome those and get out of it is really the key. The other day, I had a real treat. Got an interview with Dan Deigan. He was interviewing me, asking about this. And, you know, this is not something I normally talk about. I'm talking about computers, technology, social media, marketing, those kind of things. But I feel real strongly about it. And so I want to share this with you. It's a kind of thing you want to sit down, grab a beverage of your choice and a snack of your choice and watch this video. A lot of good information as we interchange back and forth. Dan's with a company and a great blog called Little Conversations. He's up there in Toronto, Canada. A really good guy. I'm glad I got a chance to meet him. We had a Skype interview, and, well, you're going to enjoy this. So sit back and enjoy Overcoming Diversity as Dan Deigan interviews me.
An awesome chat so far, and now we've pushed record and we're ready to go.
We're pushing record. We are recording now. Yes, indeed.
We are, exactly.
Is it live? No, it's live recorded.
It's live recorded, but you know what? We still see each other, and that was the big thing when we created Little Conversations today was, you know, we could do this in audio, but video brings across so much more depth. It brings across so much more emotion. So we said, you know what? We're going to go video because it shows the authenticity of everybody that's on each line. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, before we even dig in, because we've got some phenomenal questions coming up about marketing and how we can grow our business through social media and so on and so forth, we want to get a Terry Brock 3 feet from gold, a story where you felt like you were up against this seemingly insurmountable wall through, you know, friendship, through maybe a good book like we just talked about, through maybe some video courses. You found what you needed and you dug down deep and you climbed that wall. You scaled your adversity and you found your greatness.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, that's not something I think a lot about, but I remember a time that hit me. As a matter of fact, I wrote about this in a book I did a while back when I was in my MBA program. And I came into that and had a lot of these prereqs that I had to do that were quantitative and numerical oriented. My undergrad degree was radio, television, newspaper, and I worked in radio, worked in newspaper, worked in television, had a great time with that. But I discovered in business they have the thing called a profit and loss statement. Woohoo! And I found out that was important. So I decided, well, let me go back and get some learning up there, and I got me some learning there. They would say we learned how to speak real well too. So I got me some good education there on how to do that, and learned about these things called T accounts and all this stuff. And eventually, I didn't do so well in accounting. Matter of fact, I remember getting a little thing they called a grade at the end of the course, and my first grade was a D, as in dumbbell, and that was not good. Followed by a nice little letter from the university that said, Mr. Brock, you will not be able to remain in our program if you don't correct that. You need to go back and retake accounting. And I thought, oh, that's just dandy. You know, and I was feeling down, and I thought, this is going to be bad. I don't know what I'm going to do. And so I decided, okay, I'll go back and do it. So I'll get back, but I'll try harder. I'll do it. I'll make it happen. Even accounting. Yes. I'll learn about that cash flow stuff and T accounts and all the debits and credits and everything. Well, I went back, studied real hard, and I got a B, as in barely there, the next time. And so I tried that, and then I got another letter from the university, and they go, you're still going to have to do more because we took a B and a C and we calculated it's a C. B and a D come out to a C. So Terry, you still can't do that. You got to get up to a B. And I thought, oh, great. So what I did is I figured out how to do this. I just started relentlessly going over the examples in the next accounting class, which was cost accounting. So I started going over it, and it was something that was completely foreign to me. I didn't know this stuff, but I learned it, and I just went relentlessly drilling it over and over, asking a lot of questions. I'd talk to the professor, I'd read that, and I got an A in that class, and I got an A in every accounting class after that. And matter of fact, the interesting thing was, I learned how to do the cash flow analysis, some net present value, discounted stuff, and all kinds of fancy schmancy stuff that they tell you, and put together cash flow statements using these newfangled things back then called a computer and a spreadsheet. And I just took what we had done there in classes. I was getting A's in these things because now it's starting to become fun. I'm understanding it. I'm having fun with numbers, which was really something for a journalist to do. So I went in, put it all together, and then I started showing folks how to do this. And then CPAs came over and started asking me to show them how to do it. And so I showed them, and then I'd show some others, and eventually started teaching. And then the Journal of Accountancy, the premier #1 journal on the planet all planet Earth for accountants came and asked me to write a column about what I was doing. So I did. And then they started sending me money. And when you can get CPAs, chartered accountants or certified public accountants, to send you money, you know that's a very good thing. They were sending me money to get discs of what I was doing. And I thought, isn't that interesting? I went from almost being thrown out of my MBA program because I didn't know accounting to now they're asking me to speak around the world, to write articles. I was the very first one in the Journal of Accountancy ever to write a program about spreadsheets and show some of those things. And for me, it wasn't to say, oh, look how cool Terry is because he worked. No, no, no. It's like, okay, when you're at that point when you're really depressed and you're feeling like, I'm not going to make it. My whole life is going to be gone. Because that's how I was. I mean, I was thinking, what am I going to do? You know, I'm going for an MBA and I'm telling everyone I'm going to get an MBA and I don't make it. Then what do I do? Well, I'd looked around and I found within me the resource. Now I had to pay the price. It wasn't a matter of just going, I believe, yes, stand on a chair and say it. Turn to the person next to you and say it, or some nonsense like that. Because that stuff just flat out doesn't work. What does work is you get that confidence when you have the competence. And the competence of learning what to do, actually learning what it's like. I had to learn. And then we're tested on it. And some really smart people called professors were given tests, and they weren't looking for just fluff. They wouldn't buy it if I just stand on a chair and say it, or turn to the person next to me and say, yes, I am a smart dude, or something like that. What it takes is lots of work, getting the help, being willing to pay the price. That's the key. Being willing to pay that price. And most people don't want to do that. But if you're willing to do it, it's great. And then, by the way, that started a whole career for me teaching and speaking. And I was speaking to CPA societies around the country, ended up speaking to 27 different state societies of CPAs, and speaking to the AICPA, the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, many, many years for that. And so for me, it was something that I realized, hey, this is fun. And so I would say to the person watching this, when you get in that adversity and you're in an area where you're going, I don't know if I'm going to make it, stop. Realize, okay, we're human. Hey, welcome to the planet. You're human too. And these things are real. And it's going to take a whole lot more than just bravado and just talking about it. You have to really figure out what are the formulas, what do you need to do, and get the resources. Go to the people who did. I did that. I went to the professors. I went to other students. I studied the books over and over and over, relentlessly, repetitiously, until I got it. Today, it's even easier. You can go out on the net and you can find all kinds of information. And so there's lots of people that can do it, and you will be able to do it, but you've got to be willing to pay the price.
Mm-hmm. With some of your clients, with some people that come to you, what are some of the most common adversities you see your clients face when it comes to marketing their product, their service, their company?
I think they're finding that they're not getting enough sales. That they say, gee, we want to get more sales. But I think the real key on that is always, okay, it's because you've got to be able to appeal to the person. It's not like they're a bunch of knuckleheads. Maybe, think about it, you might be presenting the message that you have for selling for your offer in a way that's not as pleasing to them. Get inside their mind. Find out where their pain is. Where are they hurting? What do they need? And how can you provide that in a cost-effective manner so that they go, wow, I'm really glad that you're here. I'm willing to do it. It's like Dan, you and I were talking before we started the recording to say, value for value. One of the greatest things we can have is an exchange of value. Business is just one of the most wonderful things. I love the way, as I said it before, I love the way that Ayn Rand said it in her book Atlas Shrugged, when she had one of her characters saying that the love of money is the root of all good. That's where we get good, when we're working hard. If I work really hard to create some kind of an object, and now I figure out a way that, hey, I got these and I got 100 bazillion of them in the warehouse, and you say, gee, that's a really nice pen you got there, Terry. How much are you asking for that? And I say, well, I'm asking X dollars. And you go, okay, great, I'll take that. Matter of fact, I'll take several of them, because now you're thinking in terms of what the benefit is going to be to you for this, versus for me, I've got so many of them, but I do this and now I want the money and you want the pen more than you want the money. Everybody wins. That's the beauty of free market capitalism, and it's a free enterprise, so that there's no force, no coercion, but it's done freely and voluntarily, and everybody wins.
Are involved in some of the adversities you see a lot of entrepreneurs or even just individuals make. What are some of the mistakes you see them make? Like whether it be getting bad advice, working, really going forward with that advice. Are the mistakes and the adversities somewhat the same?
Well, actually, there's correlation there. If you got an adversity, there might be a reason why. Step back and go, okay, what have I done here? Who did this? I had a problem with this, okay? And then I tried this and it fell apart. I tried this and it didn't work. Well, think about it. What was the same? You were in all of those places and were doing this. One of the things I find from a sales and marketing point of view that so many people have, they have what I call eye trouble. Now, I'm not talking about their eyes here like this, what they see with, I'm talking about the letter I. You ever meet these people, Dan, who are always talking about themselves? Oh, I did this and I did that and I went over here and I do this and my thing is so good and I do this and it's just like they're just talking incessantly, nauseously only about themselves. Me, I, myself, etc. Best thing to do is to stop and turn it around and talk to the other person. Ask, well, what do you think? What are you going through right now? And even better than that, here's a ninja trick. Not even a trick, it's the basic of what to do. Go out today on the net. Link with people through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through other areas, and find out what they like, what they want, where they're hurting, what they're looking for. And then do your research. Then when you come see them, you're talking about areas that they are interested in. So you could say, gee, Bob, I noticed that you're working with the such and such organization and you're involved in this charity. I like that because I'm doing this and it's got to be genuine. It's like you find it out and you do your research and homework and you come back to them with something of value to them. Always, I remember seeing audio tape long ago. I was listening to an audio tape and he said, always see on everyone's forehead, WIIFM. What's in it for me? Old saying that we've heard many, many times, but it's still so true. Think about the other person. And I think that's where people run into adversity because it's logical cause and effect. They spend more time thinking about themselves than they are thinking about the other person. And the beauty of the way the world works and karma, it's just funny. As you help other people, lots of good comes your way. And again, that's the beauty of, I think, a free market system, that the only way you really get ahead is by providing goods and services that others want. You have to do your research and homework, find out what you can give them that solves their problems, gives them the ability to do something they couldn't do otherwise, and you make that available to them at an affordable price. And then when you do that, everyone wins.
Would you say that when you're talking about thinking of the other person and really and what their needs are as opposed to what my needs are when I'm doing it or your needs are when you're doing it, does that run you right into relationship marketing? I'd love to talk relationship marketing for a minute because like what is it? How could we use it?
Relationship marketing is very important. As a matter of fact, what I talk about in my book, I say that relationship marketing is not about the e-commerce, all the electronics, but it's about the R-commerce, relationships. You go in there and you build a relationship. In the past, we've had people that would come in and do it wrong. Matter of fact, we even see it today. People are coming in going, hi, I'm wonderful, buy my stuff, I'm really good. And we just go, ugh, we don't want that person. That's typical stereotype of the derby hat and cigar chomping salesperson just talking real fast. And they think the faster they can talk and the more things they can show of this new car, for instance, that the more likely we are to buy. No, it's just the opposite. You got to find out what the person's looking for. Ask questions. Find out about them. And you see, that's where you build relationships. You get to know people. Social media is perfect for that. See, it's called social media. It's not about selling. It's not called sales media. It's not called snob media. It's not called snail mail media. It's not called spam media. It's social. You get to know people as human beings. And a lot of companies want to do the old spray and pray. They want to do the, spray a message out to everybody and then just pray that maybe somebody will buy. Well, that doesn't work real well. Much better way to do it is get to know people. Stay in touch with them, cultivate the relationships. The way I like to do it, I grew up in the Midwest, out in farm country. And even though I wasn't on a farm, we were in that country, and all around us there were many of our neighbors that had farms. And I saw what farming is like. And I think business is much more like that. Often you'll hear people talk about business and they'll say, business is war. And I thought, I don't think so, because war is where you kill people and you break things. You blow things up. And even if you win, you've lost a lot.
Yeah.
I think a much better metaphor is farming, because what you have to do in farming, you study the market first. What is the market looking for? Are they looking for more soybeans or more cucumbers or radishes? What should I grow this year? Then you study the soil that you have. And you find out, what kind of soil do we have here? Like, for instance, where you are in Toronto, you probably don't grow a lot of oranges. Now, you
Nope.
could, yeah, you could. You could build greenhouses big enough and you could have orange trees in Toronto in the dead of winter, but it would be very cost ineffective. A better thing to do would be to do the planting of apple trees, things like that. Throughout Ontario, you've got those, and they're great. Here in Florida, we do have oranges. We don't have a lot of apple trees. The soil's not right for it. So you got to study that. And then part of farming is you plow and you till the soil. You're doing a lot of work there. You plant the seeds. And then after that, it's not done, of course. You've still got to nurture it. You've got to make sure it gets the right amount of sunshine, the right amount of water. And there's some fertilizer involved in that too. You might notice in human relations, there's some terms that we use for that, and we have that involved too. So it's just part of the natural process. And then you also do the weeding. Sometimes there's bad things that come about, and you got some varmints from out in the country. We'd have the other animals that would come in, wolves and stuff, would try to eat what's around there as it starts growing, and you got to keep them back. Eventually, after all that work, you have cultivated enough, and if you've done your job right, you have the harvest. And that harvest is there. It's a wonderful thing because you've got that, you're now picking it. It's a lot of work, but you do it. And then with corn particularly, you take your seed corn, your very best, you put it back in the warehouse to start all over again next year. It's starting all over and it keeps going. So that's why I think relationships are really like farming. You're continually nurturing, you're continually helping, and always there. It never stops. You might have had a good harvest last year. Good for you. Guess what? New time to start again. Do your studying again of the soil, tilling the soil, putting it all together. And I just think that's a good way to think about how to build relationships in business.
It's a phenomenal way to think about it.
Thank you.
For anyone watching that has a blog or some form of article submission site where they're trying to share their message, where would you suggest that they go to start driving people back to really listen to what they're trying to say?
Well, I think what they've got to do is figure out what are the people wanting. It's not about what I'm going to say, it's about what people are looking for. And so do your research, go out on YouTube and watch videos that are getting a lot of good ratings. Look at blogs that are getting a lot of readers. Listen to podcasts, which I love the podcasts that are out there, that particularly are getting a lot of ratings, that are doing well, that others like. And then think about your market and where you can start designing your messages so that it appeals to people in a real way. It's got to be authentic. It's got to be real. The book I'm working on right now with my partner Gina Carr is about clout. Due to be released, got to put a plug in there, due to be released this fall, but it'll be about clout matters with the subtitle, very important, how to engage with customers, how to raise your digital influence, and increase your clout score. Clout is a way to measure and find out what kind of influence people have. And really, if you practice social media in the right way as a good social media citizen, you'll be able to do very well with that. So I would say to those that are bloggers and podcasters, people that are videographers and creating video, good for you. You're doing the right thing and you can do it in a beautiful way. Study first what others are doing and think about what they want, even more than the message you think is really nifty and groovy. Because your message might be really nice to you, but you're not the one that's buying it. They are. So you got to appeal to them and their needs. Make it fun. Make it packed with information. Make it witty and entertaining if you can. But keep working on it and keep practicing all the time, thinking in terms of how you can solve their problems and what they're going through.
You know, in the last video, you touched base on social media. And listen, if we don't know about social media, we're almost living under a rock today.
Yeah, that's right. Hello. Welcome to the 21st century.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to social media, though, I mean, there's pros, there's cons. We've seen some from a personal perspective, some of the real issues that have, quote unquote, been transpired through social media with bullying and all that kind of stuff. But what we want to focus on for this particular interview is the power of social media in business. For anyone watching, what would you suggest, if they were to master one social media angle at a time, which one would you suggest to be the first one that a business person should master, not necessarily get a good following, but understand what it is. And then I'd like to also get into some tools we can use to start making that social media connection as a little bit less time consuming, if you will.
Ah, yeah, that's very, very important because you want to make sure that you're investing your time in the right way and making sure that it's there. And I think that the platform you're going to use really depends on your market and where they are and your service, what you've got. For instance, for some, video might be the way to do it. You want to get information out in a video format, and that's top priority. Well, for you then, YouTube would be a must-have. Get in there and really learn that and use it. Others might say we're really business to business. And it's serious, it's business. We're not having just a bunch of pictures about cats and dogs and stuff. Well, then LinkedIn would be very good. Facebook is good for connecting with people in many different levels, and there's a lot of fun. It's still social there. So you've got both. And businesses will definitely use Facebook because, hey, with over 1 billion people on the planet using it, it gets our attention. And then Twitter, I think, is great also. It's a good way, really, to listen. I would say that every business could use Twitter. Not so much for broadcasting. You don't want to do broadcasting so much there as you want to do listening, using some of the tools that are out there. You mentioned some tools like Hootsuite. It's one of the most popular. That way it gives you the ability to really zero in and listen to every time that Terry Brock is being said. So if someone's using my name, I want to find out what they're saying. And I want to find out where they're mentioning me anywhere. Also in areas like, for instance, I live in Orlando. So sometimes I might want to do a search on that and find out who is talking about Orlando. Who's saying, hey, we're looking for a speaker in Orlando? Well, hey, I live here. I would be the one. So I can help them on that. So I would say it's hard to say which platform because it's like, well, which kind of blood should you take? You know, they've got all kinds. Which is the best? Well, it depends. Each one is unique. So you want to make sure you get the right kind that works for you. Do your research. Find people that are willing to help on that and get somebody to help you. Get some assistants that can put the plans together for you so you've got a good overall strategic plan to accomplish your business goals. That would be most important. And then splash around and have fun. Eventually, yeah, you might want to incorporate a presence in all of them to some extent. And so that all depends on what's going to work right for you. Using a tool like Hootsuite gives you the ability to program those so that they can go. You can send out messages on a regular basis. Another tool I really like is called Buffer App. Buffer App gives you the ability to schedule messages that you'll send out that are of value. So for instance, one thing I do is I send out a lot of messages on my own, but I also will do a lot of curating. I read on the net and find a lot of good information from others, and then we'll send that out so that people who are following me, people who are my friends on Facebook, people who are linked in with me on LinkedIn, they then see the information I'm sending out and they go, hey, Terry's got some good stuff here, and they get to know me, they're reading what I have, and the idea is they see all this information that's free, and at some point they go, hey, if he's got all this that's good for free, I see he's got something for sale, it's going to be even better. I'm going to go ahead and get that.
You said in the beginning, in one of the first videos, you said something that really just kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, where it says, make sure you're having fun.
Yeah.
How important is it for us to really have fun at what we're doing?
It's vitally important. In bottom line business, it's important because here's what happens. If you're not having fun, you're not going to do it as well. You're not going to pour your heart and soul into it. And that's how you get ahead in life. You really pour yourself into it. And you think that's how great geniuses throughout the centuries have been able to do whatever they do. You think of Leonardo da Vinci back in Florence when he would work at the painting that he did and his crafts of designing things. He really enjoyed what he was doing. And he poured himself into it. Andrew Carnegie from 19th century America. He enjoyed working in the railroads and doing what he did there, and then moved over into steel because he was able to find ways to help people. He was able to put information together. You look at Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. They really did like what they're doing, and having fun is a big part of it. And I think that, yes, you got to do the work. Absolutely. We've got goals, but this is called being an adult. The way I remember when I was one of my trips, I went around the world and got a chance to swing by Skype's headquarters over in Tallinn in Estonia. Really, really good. They had a large presence there. They're based over in Luxembourg, but they were there, and they had a pool room where people were playing pool. They had video games there. They had a sauna of all things, right there in the offices, a sauna, so people could have that so that they could have fun. The office was open 24/7, never closed. And the way they would do it is they didn't do a 9 to 5 kind of thing. I mean, that was maybe for a few people, but most of the people there, they said, look, here's the job you've got to do. We need this done by next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. We need you to do it. Now, that means if you want to go to your son's soccer game on Friday, you don't even have to ask. Just go ahead and do it. You want to go to your daughter's ballet practice on Sunday or Saturday, whatever. You do that. And you need to take off time, you go for it. However, next Tuesday at 3 o'clock, that report is due. And if you don't get it done, maybe you'll be looking for success in some other location with some other company. So in other words, you're treating people like adults. You do what you want to do, we'll give you the resources, and in the midst of that, have fun. You know, it's a really good. We saw a similar kind of thing when we were out at Clout. We went out to Clout headquarters in San Francisco just recently. Got a chance to see the people there. They're geniuses. They're having fun. They are enjoying what they're doing. You hear them laughing, but you also realize when you sit down and talk to them, these people are geniuses. They're really brainy people, and they're gracious and kind as well. And I think that's the combination that we've got to have. We've got to do it like adults, and you got to build that fun in there so that it's an enjoyable thing to do, and you really look forward to what you're doing. That will give you the bottom line business success as well.
It's a very interesting way to look at it, and you're incorporating every aspect of it, and you're literally leaving it all up to the individual. Do you want to get this done or not? And if they love what they do, they're going to get it done with more fun, and they're going to enjoy it more.
Absolutely.
If
you treat people like adults when they're dealing with with customers, they're going to behave like adults. If you treat them like children and tell them you can't do this, you can't do that, guess how they're going to behave when they're out there dealing with customers.
Yep.
So treat people with like adults, give them responsibility, hold them accountable. And there are times when someone isn't doing what they need to do, and you need to say, hey, Charlie, we really like you being around here, but you can't just keep sloughing off. You've got to get this work done. And when we need it, we need you to have it done, prepared and ready to go.
This question is almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg, but it's competence versus confidence. What comes first, Terry?
Oh, I think the competence has to come first, and the confidence will then come later. To just say, well, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. Wouldn't want me flying an airplane for you. If I say I'm a pilot, yes, I just believe I can. No, I'm going to reach and believe that I can fly that plane. I've never had to take a class. I've never even flown a plane before. But
I've done it on PS3.
Yeah, you're going, I don't think I want to be on this plane with you there, Sparky. However, if I go through the steps that are needed. I spend years studying it. I become a pilot. I go through the training, the rigorous training, tested by certified. I get all the certifications and everything that's necessary, and I'm hired by a prominent airline. Then you can say, okay, he's got the competence, and I'm confident that he will do it, and the pilot would be confident as well. So I feel strongly you get the competence first. Don't just run out waving your hands in the air, screaming, jumping up and down, thinking you're going to be able to be the pilot just because you want to. Now, you do need to have the desire first. I'm sure every pilot at one point in life said, hey, I'd like to be a pilot. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to pay the price, to put in the time, the money, and the effort to do whatever is necessary so that I can be certified and they let me wear the insignia on the cap and grab the controls and take off in the sky so that people will safely be able to get where they need to go. So I'd say definitely the competence comes before the confidence.
In your professional opinion, when somebody's looking at marketing their, once again, whether it be their website, their service, their product, at what point, if things aren't going the way we feel they should, at what point should we stop and say, okay, we need to look at maybe a new marketing strategy, a new plan, we need to readjust? Is it 6 months, a year? Is there any given format or any given time, or is it market specific or individual specific, or?
Yeah, interesting you'd ask that. I just read Nate Silver's book today about predictions. He said why most predictions fail and some don't. And he talked about what we need to do and the kind of things that we do. Matter of fact, got the book sitting over there. It was really good reading that this morning. But he said what we've got to do is we've got to test continually. Constantly keep testing and checking. And I would say it's not a 6 month or not a year, but rather I would say every second you're continually testing and checking, finding out, okay, what's it like? Keep testing always. You never stop testing. Always sending it out. And the beauty of the net today with big data, we can do that. So you want to have your monitoring system set up like Google Alerts. You want to have your Google Analytics set up. You want to have those things that give you feedback on how you're doing. You want to find out what's going on and continually test. The big way to do it, I love what Richard Wildman talks about in his book, The Power of Why. He says, go out and talk to customers. Now, not just get on the phone, go out there, see them face to face, and he says take a paper and a pen and write it down rather than typing it down, because something happens when you're writing it down. You feel better. And also, you don't record it, he says. He said, don't do that, because then when you're recording, you feel like, I'm on trial here. What am I going to do? But if you say, look, no recording, it's just you and me. Tell me, what do you like about our service? What can we do to improve? Did you like that order that we sent in last week? What was good about, there was something wrong? Tell me, what was wrong with it? Okay, let's see what we can do to fix that. And when you're doing that and you're listening, you're, as Chris Brogan says, growing bigger ears. Then you're able to hear better what people are talking about, what your customers are doing. And I think this is an ongoing, never-ending, wonderful adventure. Always test, always listen, and find out what's going on. And with the tools that we have today, we can do it. Now, that means you're going to be constantly correcting course. The old thing that you've heard motivational speakers say for decades of, when a plane is going from New York to Los Angeles, 99% of the time it's off course, and you have to constantly keep changing. Well, yeah, that's true. You just keep making those changes, and you're going to fall down sometimes. You're going to fall down and skin your knee and go, ow, that hurts. Or maybe a few other colorful metaphors you'll throw in there. But what you do is you keep getting back up, and you keep going after it, but don't just do it in a stupid way, doing the same things. Do what I like to call smart persistence. Smart persistence says, yes, I'm going to be persistent, but maybe I'm going to adjust a little bit. I'm not going to do the same thing that gave me a problem before. If I'm beating my head against a wall, I'm going to do it to try to hit it harder. No, you're just going to get bloodier and it'll be worse. Maybe you think, let's not hit that wall. Let's go over this way, or let's go over it, or let's go under it, or around it, or maybe we'll figure out a way to blast that thing out of there with some dynamite. Whatever you need to do, keep testing and keep adjusting your strategies, keep adjusting your tactics particularly, so that you can achieve the goal that you want.
Awesome, Terry. That's amazing.
Well, I think, of course, I learned that the way, the hard way of falling down, and you get right back up. You just got to keep doing that. That persistence is really important, and I think the smart persistence. It's not just bullheaded. I'll keep doing over and over and over. I know it's not working, but I'll keep doing. Well, no, that's not smart. Step back, adjust. See, like, for instance, let me go back to my story I told you about in accounting. I was doing some things wrong. I just really didn't know it. I came out of a journalism background. I knew radio, I knew TV and newspapers. I could write there. But I didn't know about these things called debits and credits and all the cash flow analysis and all that whoop-de-doo stuff. So I had to learn it. And I had to keep adjusting and keep changing. And eventually, it took me a long time. It took me maybe, probably I would say a good 9 months to a year to really start understanding what these folks are talking about with accounting, that it really is important. Yeah, we need to know that stuff. And so I had to wrap my brain around it. And you know what? That's what we have to do continually today. Dan, you were telling me before, if you don't mind my sharing, you're working on learning WordPress and Dreamweaver. Good for you, buddy. I appreciate that. And I know what it's like. You got to wrap your brain and figure it all out. And I applaud you for that. And everyone watching this, as you're embracing those kind of new things, get used to it. Our world is going to be like that the rest of our lives. There's always going to be new gewgaws and widgets and things that are coming out. Like, do you know how to do the dooley floppers over on the Woogie Woogoos? Well, no, never heard of it before. Well, guess what? It's the hot new thing, and you got to learn it, Sparky. So, roll up your sleeves and learn how to learn. One of the most valuable lessons you can get, learning how to learn. You were talking about reading, how you read 5 books a month. Excellent. Good for you. I would suggest staying with that and keep working with it. Matter of fact, I love sitting down and reading. I'm doing a thing called photo reading. And photo reading gives me the ability to read a lot of books. I'll sometimes sit down and read 2 or 3 books a day. Using photo reading and the techniques of that and going through and seeing what it's like, I would say for those that are listening, Learn how to increase your comprehension and your reading speed, and get the tools that will help you listen to audio faster. Get tools that give you the ability to watch video faster, because I'm using a tool called VLC, as in Victor Lima Charlie, VLC, and it gives the ability to play videos that I get on the net faster so I can look at and learn educational material much faster. So doing that kind of thing is really going to be a skill that'll give you the ninja capability to get ahead in our highly competitive world that we have today.
Well, awesome, Terry. Thank you so much for being here again. I mean, you know what? The amount of information you shared is just phenomenal. Love your insight and love your enthusiasm and love your passion with it, especially.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm passionate about life and living, and I would say to those that are watching this, whatever you're doing, you've seen this crazy guy with a really good haircut, by the way, saying you think, well, I don't know, he's got some crazy ideas, but maybe I could use a little bit of it. Think about what it is that's important to you, and what are you willing to do? You're going to pay the price. Anything really worth achieving is going to be worth putting that into. Matter of fact, Dan, if we got just a moment,
Yes.
remember the phrase "paying the price" really helped me, because I remember I was getting ready to speak for a group. I do a lot of speaking for groups around the world, for up in Wisconsin, and I was going to talk to them, and they said, "Oh, Terry," I called them up before we went there. They said, "Terry, we're going to have a football theme because we're right up here in Appleton, and it's very close to Green Bay, and apparently there's a little football team in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that they like there." And so they were going to do it there in the Vince Lombardi restaurant. I thought, well, that's kind of cool. And I hung up and I thought, wait a minute. I know Vince Lombardi Jr. because he's in the National Speakers Association. And I knew him, a little bit. And I thought, maybe I should call him. And I thought, no, he's not going to want to talk to me about this. No, maybe he should. No, he should. You're going back and forth like that. Well, I thought, Terry, just pick up the phone and call him. So I did. I picked up the phone, and he answered himself. And I said, "Vince, this is Terry Brock." He goes, "Well, Terry, how you doing today?" "Great." I said, "Well, doing fine. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to be speaking. I was wondering if I could get you to say something to the people." He said, "Well, I'd be happy to." So I recorded him. And what he said blew me away. He said, "Well, hello there." And he greeted the group by name. And this is Vince Lombardi Jr. And when people talk about my dad, they often say winning isn't the everything, it's the only thing. But when I think of my dad, I think of what he told us about being willing to pay the price. The game is won on those days before the game, when you're willing to get out and run in the cold rain. You're willing to do those extra push-ups. You're willing to practice that more. Being willing to pay the price. That's the key. I thought, wow, thank you, Vince. That was great. And so that really stuck with me, that we've got to do it, figure out what the price is, and are you willing to pay it? Maybe it's not. Maybe that's too much. For instance, for me, going to medical school is something I probably could do if I had wanted to years ago, but that's not for me right now. No, I've got many other things. And if you want to do a medical school thing, you want to be a pilot, you want to speak, you want to find out what it is that's right for you, that makes you sing, and then what the market is asking for also. And then be willing to put in the time, the money, and the effort. So many people say, "Oh, I want it for free." Well, it's going to cost you this. "Oh, I don't want to pay. I just want it for free." No, that's not real value for value. You've got to say, "Look, I'm willing to part with my coins so that I can get what I need." I love the way that Ben Franklin said it. Ben Franklin said so well. He said, "Take the coins of your purse to fill your mind, and then your mind will overflow your purse with coins." And I thought, that's the way to do it. Invest your time, money, and effort in those things that are going to be most worthwhile for you, and that's the way you will succeed.
That's amazing, and that's a phenomenal way to put it. A phenomenal way to put it. And that's where all of these, educational programs, personal help programs, books, we talked about this earlier, where they essentially become shelf help for somebody because they get it to a point where they think they can take it from there and they don't continually educate themselves.
Yeah, it's something to do every day. Every day you've got to go through. I can educate your mind, learn something new every day, and different topics, but learn something brand new by listening, by watching great educational videos, by reading. I love reading, and you and I both love reading, and I think it's a wonderful thing to do. So do that and keep going and enjoy the ride, having a lot of fun all the way.
Awesome. Thanks, Terry.
Dan, thank you. Great to be with you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Terry Brock with Terry Brock. Hi, this is Terry Brock with terrybrock.com. You know, overcoming adversity is really important. Whatever we do, we're going to run into some challenges in life. And being able to overcome those and get out of it is really the key. The other day, I had a real treat. Got an interview with Dan Deigan. He was interviewing me, asking about this. And, you know, this is not something I normally talk about. I'm talking about computers, technology, social media, marketing, those kind of things. But I feel real strongly about it. And so I want to share this with you. It's a kind of thing you want to sit down, grab a beverage of your choice and a snack of your choice and watch this video. A lot of good information as we interchange back and forth. Dan's with a company and a great blog called Little Conversations. He's up there in Toronto, Canada. A really good guy. I'm glad I got a chance to meet him. We had a Skype interview, and, well, you're going to enjoy this. So sit back and enjoy Overcoming Diversity as Dan Deigan interviews me.